Welcome back. The Ministry of Finance last year introduced a relief program for taxpayers directed towards outstanding tax balances to support individuals and businesses that are facing hardships, including cash flow challenges as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The program came into effect on the 1st of February 2021, and it is in the form of a waiver of 100% of penalties and 95% in interest to be written off on settlement of capital tax arrears by the 31st of January 2022. Joining us in studio to discuss this tax relief program introduced and what NamRA as an institution has in place to assist taxpayers is NamRA's Head of Domestic Taxes, that is Mr. Itope. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much for being here. The Ministry of Finance introduced the Integrated Tax Administration System last year. Could you please give us a brief overview of the agency's experience, with the system and perhaps the challenges also that you've encountered?
Yeah, thank you so much. First, we are grateful to the Ministry of Finance for investing such a lot of money in a modern integrated system and also for transferring such a system which is functioning to NamRA. Most countries in Africa make use of the integrated systems, and they generate quite large amounts of revenue because of the automation of the systems. Now, from an experience point of view, and this is really from an internal perspective, the experience has been quite good, and most people are eager to learn the system. Most people want improvements to be done on the system, and it has really been a question of access and improvements. And in terms of what you term challenges, really, there has been the issues of the speed in terms of the bandwidth, that when you have many users using the system at the same time, you experience some slowness in the system, and also the fact that when you have introduced risk management on the system in terms of controls, then it tends to cause some delays when you have multiple people who need to approve certain transactions. But it's really about risk management, and it has been a good system, but it's a system of endless possibilities. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, the digital divide continues, obviously, to be a hurdle for many. How does NamRA cater for those, who still to prefer to submit their claims manually?
Yes, you see, with a transition of this magnitude, a technological change of this extent, you expect a bit of resistance, you expect a bit of gradual transition into really accepting the change, accepting the new system. And NamRA for now assists most of these taxpayers to get online and to file online. So what we do is really discourage taxpayers who still want to submit manually, for it's inconvenient to the taxpayers, for it's costly in terms of resources and in terms of time. So we want all these taxpayers, and we have made it possible for them to really register. We have made it possible for them to come and scan documents if they need to. So all this assistance is offered by NamRA, and we are for now discouraging the manual submission of returns. Yeah.
How has the portal, enhanced or been improved in recent months?
First, we have roughly 260,000 registered portal users, and the natural persons make up 70% of this number. That means these people have chosen to file electronically. They have chosen to stay away from queues. They have chosen to save money. Now, over the months, we have simplified the system in terms of access, in terms of the ease of registration, and really in terms of filing. And this will intensify in the months to come when we provide more centers, more resources to taxpayers who need to be assisted. Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned in the intro earlier, the electronic filing tax program provides for waivers of 100% of penalties and 75% of interest. Can you briefly talk to us about what motivated this decision and also the duration, which is up until, I think, January 2022?
Thank you once again. First, there's an astronomical debt that NamRA needs to manage, needs to contain, and needs to recover. Now, many taxpayers, being natural persons and juristic persons, contribute immensely to this debt. Now, we have had a situation where businesses and individuals were adversely affected by the pandemic, COVID-19. The objective was then to offer them a breathing space, some economic relief. So, and to be as generous as possible. So the decision was then that this relief should run for a period of 12 months. That way you accommodate everybody, even those that want to make arrangements to pay, even those that want to go borrow money to pay. So the idea was then to give them a relief that is generous. And at first, the write-off, remember, was 95% of the interest. That was the highest, and it ran for a couple of months. It was then eventually reduced to 75% write-off of interest. And penalties remain 100%, of course. So, but with this then, we needed taxpayers to register as electronic filers. So there was then a condition that you need to be registered as an electronic filer. And of course, in order for us to increase the compliance rate in Namibia, they needed to file their returns electronically, those that have not filed at all. And of course, because government needs money to fund its numerous expenditure, we needed that capital amount to be paid. So this is really what informed the 95% at first and the 75% at first, the fact that people needed some breathing space. Thank you.
So taxpayers who still prefer to, submit claims manually don't benefit from this penalty and wavering?
You see, the system is designed with a self-service principle in mind, which means there's no human intervention. If you submit manually, that means you would require somebody to come and capture that, somebody to read your letter, and somebody to do some manual interventions. But because now we say this is self-service, you simply register and you see the penalties disappearing, you see interest disappearing. So taxpayers who still submit manually don't benefit from the system. And these are the taxpayers that we want to assist so that they can also benefit. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, to appeal to them to register on the portal.
You mentioned wanting to assist them. So what are some of the measures that NamRA's introduced to assist taxpayers, especially those who are unable to register for the e-services?
We have really provided resources, and the measures are really that we have service points where we tell them you can use our internet, you can use our computers, you can use our scanners to upload documents that you need to. We can assist you with creating an email address if you don't have one. So we have these centers countrywide, and we will continue to provide more resources for taxpayers who are unable to access internet on their own, because this is an internet system. That's really what you need. So this is how we are assisting them at our different offices. Yeah.
I understand that there's been appeals from, appeals to the agency from business owners whose financial recording period is set after the due date of the electronic filing tax program. Are there any possibilities of an extension on the due date in order to, accommodate these individuals?
Well, first, allow me to give some statistics. At 30th of November, we have written off 260 million in interest. We have reversed 7.9, which is roughly 8 billion in penalties. Now, when you look at a period of 12 months, it really tells you that every taxpayer is covered in terms of their due date. So because it started on the 1st of February this year, and it's going to run until 31st of January next year. So each and every due date is covered in that period of of 12 months. And for, say, individuals who are not able to submit for one or the other reasons, they do know their income, they do know how much tax needs to be paid, so they can still benefit. So for now, the incentive program, the relief program, is ending on the 31st of January 2022, and we're not discussing any extension. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Itope, your concluding remarks this morning?
Thank you so much once again for having me here. The tax morale in Namibia can increase. Let us all do our part, from large companies to small companies, sole proprietors, and everybody. Once we do that, let us register on the ITAS portal, submit our returns, and pay the right amount of tax to NamRA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
That was Mr. Itope, the head of domestic taxes at NamRA's, speaking to us this morning. We'll be right back after the short break.